Full transparency, speaking in front of people is one of my biggest phobias. So if I look pale and shaky, it's because I am pale and shaky. So as I pondered why I give, what I came up with is it's complicated. So there you have it.
You're all right.
No, there's more. What is complicated is the journey I've taken. I was born into a family of a long line of German Missouri Synod Lutherans. So that's where I started. There were lots of rules, lots and lots of rules there. So my giving started out as more of a habit. I didn't put much thought into it. My mom would say, put some money in your Sunday school envelope and take it with you this week, and I did. It's just what we did. My family wasn't quite the normal family. My dad had been injured in World War II, and he lost an eye, got shot in the leg. He returned. He was a chemical engineer. He had published papers. He led symposiums. And then he married my mom, who was a World War II widow with 2 small children. And they had me. And when I was a baby, right behind where he'd lost his eye in the war, he had a cerebral aneurysm that left him paralyzed on one side and aphasic, which means it's hard for him to find his words. So for the first 5 years of my life, my dad didn't work. I'm told stories that he and I learned to tie our shoes together because he was now left-handed. It was his right side that got paralyzed. I'm told stories that we learned to say the Lord's Prayer together. I really don't remember these things. But every Sunday, we went to church, and every Sunday, we put our collection in. We've all had obstacles in our life, and I think the way those obstacles shape us kind of shape our giving. When I was in my 30s, and my mom had always been the caregiver after my dad's stroke, and when I was in my 30s, my mom was diagnosed with a neuromuscular disease. She was no longer quite as able to take care of herself or my dad, and oddly enough, she lost the muscle power to her mouth, so her speech was very mumbled. So I had a dad who was aphasic and had to search for words, and a mom who would try to talk to me, and it took everything I had to hear. So here I was in my 30s. I was working as a pharmacist. My husband was working as a pharmacist. We had 2 small children, and I was caring for my mom and dad. But I still went to church every Sunday. I still put that envelope in, but I still really wasn't putting any thought into why I was putting that envelope in. I heard the pastor say, pray about this, be a joyful giver. It wasn't that I wasn't joyful, I just didn't give it that much thought. And then in my 40s, after my mom had passed away and I really was caring for my dad, now I had 2 teenagers and was still working. And all of a sudden, I'm diagnosed with breast cancer. So I've got surgery, I've got chemo, I've got radiation, I've got my dad, I got my teenagers, I got my husband, I got my job, but I still went every Sunday and I still put my envelope every Sunday. But I still wasn't giving it much thought. So fast forward to 2018. My children were raised, they were educated, they were gainfully employed, they had their own homes. My husband and I sadly had lost our parents, but we had no longer had to care for them. So we were going to retire and set out on an adventure. We'd spent all our life in Northwest Ohio, small town living, and we were going to come to Chicago, to the big city. We were going to watch my only grandchild grow up. We were going to go to museums, we were going to go to plays, we were going to go to concerts. And barely a year in, my husband became ill very quickly. On October 8th of 2019, he was told he had liver cancer, and he had a year, and 5 weeks later, he passed away. Then 3 months later, COVID hit. So I've never been so alone in my life. I've never been so isolated in my life. I had a family member who, I tell her she's my angel. She denies it, but she called me every day. I think she was worried about me, and she had reason to be. And one day as we were talking, she said, "I really admire how strong you've been through this." I was like, "Are you kidding me? I am nothing but a bowl of anxious jello." And she said, "No, really." She said, "Your washer leaked and you got it taken care of, your car died and you took care of it, you get up every day, you've been watching your granddaughter, helping out with her schoolwork." And I said, no, I'm not strong. And she said, "Well, I guess God's being strong for you, Carol." So I thought about it. And I thought, yeah, this hasn't been a good time for me, but I have a roof over my head. My house is warm in the winter and cool in the summer. I have food. I have family who've been there for me. And I said, yeah, God, you have been good to me. Despite all of this, you've been there. You got me up in the mornings when I didn't want to get up. And on the mornings when I didn't get up, your grace told me it was okay. It was okay, I could get up tomorrow. So all of a sudden, I realized giving shouldn't be a habit. There have been so many gifts. I had obstacles just like everybody else, but I was able to get a good education, was able to have a good job, save enough money that I am not struggling now. So I did realize there really is more to giving than just being a habit. It really is saying, thanks God, I see you. I see that you're there.
Oh my goodness, girl. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It just kind of struck me, and this was not intentional, but it's obviously the Holy Spirit has a plan. The two testimonies we've heard last week and this week were both delivered by widows. You hear about the widow's might, and it is so strong and so powerful. And both of you talking about your cancer battles. So thank you, Carol, for the inspiration that you are. This is real, what's happening in this church. It's very, very real, and I'm so thankful to be a witness.